Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing good. So, in last class, I was teaching you about classification of cost. We have read some classifications of cost on the basis of time, on the basis of nature, and all. So, let's continue with this topic classification of cost. And then, after completion of this topic, classification of cost, I will take the revision of whole of the topic. Okay, let's start now. Classification of cost on the basis of relationship with accounting period. Classification of cost on the basis of relationship with accounting period. In this, there are two types of cost. One is capital and one is revenue. Cost can be capital in this as well as revenue. What is capital expenditure? Capital expenditure are those expenditures which provide benefit to future period, and that's why they are classified as assets. Capital expenditure are those expenditures which provide benefit in future period and is classified as an asset. Sir, please give an example. Okay. Suppose बच्चों I want to I want to manufacture this mobile phone. I want to manufacture this mobile phone. To manufacture this mobile phone, I will be requiring some machines. To manufacture this mobile phone, I will be requiring some machines. So I purchased machine of rupees 5 crores. Today I purchase machine of rupees 5 crore. So my expenditure on purchasing the machine is rupees 5 crores. Today I purchased the machine of rupees 5 crores. So my expenditure for purchasing the machine is rupees 5 crore. Right? Now the machine, what the machine will help you? The machine will help you in the production of this mobile phone. The machine will help you in the production of this mobile phone. In future, today I purchased the machine for rupees 5 crore. Today I done this expenditure, but in future the machine will help me in producing the mobile phone, and I will sell the mobile phone in market, and I will earn money. I will earn the profit. Got my point? So machine expenditure on purchasing the machine is a capital expenditure. Expenditure to purchase a machine is a capital expenditure because it will provide benefit in future. It will help in manufacturing the mobile phone. Then I will sell the mobile phone and earn profit. So that's why it is also classified as an asset. Asset is something that provides some benefit in future. Sir, please give another example. Okay. Okay. Suppose I want to start manufacturing this music system. I want to start manufacturing this music system. To start manufacturing this music system, I will be requiring some place, some factory. To start manufacturing the music system, I will be requiring some place, some factory. So what I did, I purchased a factory for rupees 10 crores. I purchased a factory for rupees 10 crore. Now that factory building, now for purchasing that factory building, I spend 10 crore rupees today. To purchase that factory building, I spend rupees 10 crore today. But it will give me benefit in future. How? It will help me in producing the music system, because the production work of music system will take place in that factory building. The production work of this music system, the production work of this music system will take place in the factory. So that factory will help me in producing the music system. That music system I will sell in the market, and I will earn the profit. So got my point? So the factory building, the expenses of factory building of 10 crore rupees is also a capital expenditure. So capital expenditure is something that provide benefit in future and it is also classified as an asset. Got my point? What is revenue expenditure? Revenue expenditure is something that provide benefit only in current period and is treated as an expense. Revenue expenditure is something that provide benefit in current period as and is treated as an expense. For example, I want to manufacture this calculator. I want to manufacture this calculator. For manufacturing this calculator, I will be requiring plastic. For manufacturing this calculator, I will be requiring plastic. Now, I purchase the plastic from the market for rupees 10,000. I purchased the plastic from market for rupees 10,000. Now that plastic has been molded in this shape, and through the help of this plastic, this calculator is made. So the expenditure of plastic has been used in the current period. The plastic has been used in making the calculator. It will not provide any benefit in future. It has already been used. Whatever plastic we purchased, we converted that plastic into calculator. Whatever plastic we have purchased, we have converted that plastic into calculator. So it is an expenditure of revenue nature. The revenue nature expenditure benefit only in current period and is treated as an expense. What my point? So what is capital expenditure? Capital expenditure, capital expenditure provide benefit to future period and is classified as an asset. On the other hand, revenue expenditure provide benefit only in current period and is treated as an expense. I have given you the example of this mobile phone. Suppose I want to start manufacturing this mobile phone. I want to start manufacturing this mobile phone. So I have purchased some machines. The expenditure of machines is a capital expenditure. I want to start manufacturing this calculator. So I purchase plastic. The expenditure of plastic of raw material will be treated as revenue expenditure. I hope you all have understood now what is capital expenditure and revenue expenditure. Let's move ahead. Okay, thank you. Controllability. Classification of cost on the basis of controllability. Controllable cost. Cost which can be controlled by the management is known as controllable cost. Cost which can be influenced by its budget holder is known as controllable cost. Whatever cost can be controlled by the management is known as controllable cost. For example, in my factory, in my factory, there are 10 laborers. For example, in my factory, there are 10. In my factory, there are 10 laborers. I am paying rupees 10, I am paying rupees 5,000 per labor per month. I think 5,000 very less. Let's do this 10,000. Okay. There are 10 laborers in my factory and I am paying rupees 10,000 per labor per month. Can you tell me total expense of salary? That is 1 lakh. That is 1 lakh. 10,000 into 10. So there are 10 laborers in my factory and I am paying rupees 10,000 per labor per month. So the expense of salary is 1 lakh. Now, can management control this expense? Can management, if management finds that salary expense is too much, if management finds that salary expense is too much, can management control this expense? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Management has removed 2 employees. How many employees are there now? 8 laborers. And what will be the salary expense now? 80,000. So salary expense is a controllable expense. Management finds that salary expense is too much, so it has they have controlled the salary expenses. They have removed 2 employees from the factory, and now there are 8 laborers, and 8 laborers at the rate of 10,000 we are paying 80,000. We have controlled this expense. Suppose management finds that the workload has been increased because whatever product we are producing, the demand has been increased very much. Now we have to increase the production, and to increase the production we want to increase the labor. So now management have increased the labor to 11 laborers. What will be the salary expense now? It will be 1,10,000. It will be rupees 1,10,000. So those expenses which can be controlled by the management, which can be increased as well as decreased by the management, is known as controllable expense. Those expenses which can be controlled by the management, can be increased and decreased by the management, is known as controllable expense. Got my point, everyone? Everyone got my point? Okay. What is non-controllable expenses? Those expenses which cannot be controlled by the management is known as non-controllable expenses. It is the cost which is not subject to control at any level of managerial supervision. It is a cost which cannot be controlled by management. All the cost, all the expenses which cannot be controlled by the management is known as non-controllable cost. So please give some example. Okay. Suppose I'm manufacturing computers. I'm manufacturing computers, and to manufacture computers, I have taken a factory on rent. I am manufacturing computers, and to manufacture computers, I have taken a factory on rent. The rent of the factory is rupees 1 lakh per month. The rent of the factory is rupees 1 lakh per month. Now, if I am manufacturing 10 computers per month, I have to pay 1 lakh. If I am manufacturing 100 computers per month, I have to pay 1 lakh. If I am manufacturing 1 lakh computers per month, then also I have to pay 1 lakh rent. If I am manufacturing one computer in a month, then also I have to pay rupees 1 lakh per month. It means the rent expense cannot be controlled by the management. The expense cannot be controlled by the management. It is known as non-controllable cost. Also take an example of suppose I have taken a insurance premium, fire insurance premium, that if suppose in future there is any fire that take place in a factory, then we will get the insurance premium for the damages. Now the premium amount is fixed per month. Now the premium amount is fixed per annum. Premium is we pay premium per annum. So the insurance premium is fixed per annum, no matter how much you are producing, how much you are earning profit, or how much you are going in losses. So the insurance premium is also a non-controllable cost. Got my point? So controllable costs are those costs which can be controlled by the management. Non-controllable costs are those costs which cannot be controlled by the management. Now let's move ahead. Classification of cost on the basis of analytical and decision making purpose. Classification of cost on the basis of analytical and decision making purpose. Opportunity cost. What is opportunity cost? Now, but you please listen to me very, very carefully, or you will definitely get confused in opportunity cost. But opportunity cost is the cost of selecting one course of action and losing other opportunity to carry out that course of action. For example, I have 1 lakh rupees in my pocket. I have 1 lakh rupees in my pocket. I have 1 lakh rupees in my pocket. Either I can deposit it in a bank and get interest rupees 10,000. I can deposit 1 lakh rupees in bank and I can earn interest rupees 10,000 per month. The other option is I can purchase a share and earn dividend of rupees 8,000. I can purchase a share and earn dividend of rupees 8,000. We have two options. I have 1 lakh rupees in my pocket. Now I have two options. One is to deposit the money in bank and earn rupees 10,000. Other is to purchase share and earn rupees 8,000 per annum. If I deposit rupees 1 lakh in bank, then I will earn rupees 10,000, but I will lose rupees 8,000, which I can earn by purchasing the shares. If I purchase the share for 1 lakh, then I will earn rupees 8,000, but I will lose rupees 10,000, which I can earn by deposit the money in bank. So if I deposit my money in bank, my opportunity cost will be 8,000. The opportunity cost is the second best option which I am losing because I have selected some other option. Got my point? Again, I'm repeating. I have 1 lakh rupees in my hand. I have two options. Either I can deposit it in bank and earn rupees 10,000, or I can purchase share and earn rupees 8,000. If I deposit the money in bank, then my opportunity cost will be 8,000 because I will not earn 8,000 now. If I purchase the share, then my opportunity cost will be 10,000 because I will not be able to earn 10,000 now. So if I deposit money in bank, opportunity cost will be 8,000 because I cannot purchase the share and I cannot earn rupees 8,000. Got my point? So here it is written, opportunity cost is the cost of selecting one course of action and losing the other opportunity to carry out the course of action. Opportunity cost is the cost of selecting one course of action, that is deposit the money in bank, and losing the other opportunity to other opportunity is to purchase the share. It is the amount that can be received if the asset is utilized in the next best alternate. Got my point? Got my point? Okay. Let's give you one more example. I have one building. I have one building. Now, if I give that building on rent to a bank, the bank will give me 20,000 rupees. If I give that building on a rent to a family, the family will give me 15,000 rupees. If I give the building on rent to bank, the bank is ready to give me 20,000. The family is ready to give me 15,000. Now, what is the best alternative to give the building to bank and earn rupees 20,000? If I give the building to bank, then I will not be able to give the building or rent to family, and I will not get 15,000 from here. So this 15,000 is my opportunity cost. That is the next best alternative. Got my point? Everyone got my point? Okay. Now let's move ahead now. Sunk cost. Sunk cost. What is sunk cost? Sunk cost is the one that has already been incurred and cannot be avoided by decision taken in future. A sunk cost is one that is already incurred and cannot be avoided by decision taken in future. For example, for example, I want to start manufacturing trucks. I want to start manufacturing trucks. To start manufacturing trucks, I have taken a factory. I have purchased a factory at some area. Suppose I have purchased a factory in Jaipur. To start manufacturing trucks, I have purchased a factory in Jaipur for rupees 20 crores. For rupees 20 crores. Now started the production of trucks. I have started the production of trucks. The raw material is coming from Gujarat. The raw material is coming from Gujarat. Raw material like iron and glass and all, whatever material is required for manufacturing trucks, the raw material is coming from Gujarat. Now I have to face additional expense of transportation from Gujarat to Jaipur, because whatever raw material I am purchasing, the raw material is coming from Gujarat. So I have to bear transportation expenses. Now I'm thinking that if I would have purchased the factory in Gujarat only, then I could have saved this transportation expense. But now, because I have purchased the factory in Jaipur, it cannot be avoided. Now, because I have purchased the factory in Jaipur, it cannot be avoided. So, sunk cost is the one that has already been incurred and cannot be avoided by any decision taken in future. So I have already purchased factory in Jaipur. Now, if I want to start the production work in Gujarat, I cannot do because I have already purchased the factory in Jaipur and the production work has started. So sunk cost is the one that has already been incurred and cannot be avoided by decision taken in future. Got my point? Everyone got my point? So, बच्चों, sunk cost is not useful for any decision making because it is an irrelevant cost. It has already been incurred and it cannot be changed in any future prospect. Sunk cost cannot be used for decision making because it is a cost that has been incurred in past and it is an irrelevant cost. Whatever decision you take in future, the sunk cost will remain same. It cannot be changed. So sunk cost is an irrelevant cost. Cost which is incurred in past and cannot be avoided by any decision taken in future. What is differential cost? What is differential cost? Differential cost has been defined as the difference in total cost between alternatives calculated to assist decision making. Suppose I want to start manufacturing cars. Now let's give you an example. I want to start manufacturing car. I have two options, option A, option B. In option 1, manufacturing steering, I have to incur 100 rupees. In option 2, also I have to incur 100 rupees. To manufacture tire, in option 1, if I am manufacturing tire, I have to incur rupees 50. In option 2, I am not manufacturing tire. If I am outsourcing tire, I have to incur rupees 60. Now, what is the total cost of option A? 150. Total cost of option B? 160. Now, what option I will select? I will select option A. It means I will manufacture the tire on my own. Because if I do not manufacture tire and if I outsource the tire, then I have to incur rupees 60. And if I manufacture the tire myself, then I have to incur just rupees 50. But if I outsource the tire, if I do not manufacture the tire myself and if I outsource the tire, then I have to incur only rupees 60. So I will select option A because in option A I have to pay only rupees 150 and and if I go for option B, then I have to pay rupees 160. So differential cost is 10. Differential cost is 10. So the difference in total cost between the alternatives, that is rupees 10 is known as differential cost. And why we calculate differential cost? So as to take decision whether we have to go for option A or option B or option C or option D. Got my point, everyone? Everyone got my point? Okay, let's move ahead then. What is joint cost? What is joint cost? The processing of a single raw material result in two or more different products simultaneously. For example, for example, I am running a company that is Amul. I am running a company that is Amul. Now Amul manufactures cheese, butter, milk, everything. So to manufacture cheese, to manufacture butter, what product we require? To manufacture cheese, to manufacture butter, to manufacture milk maid, to manufacture cheese, to manufacture butter, to manufacture milk maid, what product required by Amul? That is milk. The raw material, the basic raw material is milk. Because butter is also made by milk, cheese is also made by milk, milk maid is also made by milk. Now what Amul do? Amul, Amul purchase the milk and Amul boils the milk. Amul boils the milk, and after that it's converted into butter or cheese or milk maid. So the expense of boiling the milk is known as joint cost, because after boiling the milk, the one product is made butter, one product that is made is cheese, and one product that is made, that is milk maid. But the process is same. But for all the three, one process is same, that is boiling the milk. So the expenses that is incurred in boiling the milk is known as joint cost. The processing of a single raw material results in two or more different products simultaneously. The joint product is not identifiable at different types of product until a certain stage of production is known as split off point is reached. Got my point? So the cost, the expense that is incurred in boiling the milk is known as joint cost. Got my point, everyone? Everyone got my point? So shall we move ahead? Shall we move ahead? Thank you. We will also do MCQs at the end of the class, but let's first start another topic. I'm sharing the PPT with you. Now I'm going to start the topic management accounting. Until now, I was teaching you about what is cost accounting. In cost accounting, I have told you that cost accounting help us in systematic recording of cost so that the management can come to know where to eliminate the wastage, how to control the cost, and how to increase the how to decrease the cost of the product so that the profit can be increased. Cost accounting also help in preparing profit and loss account, because the cost accounting data is sent to the profit and loss account, and then we come to know what is the profit. Now we are starting the topic management accounting. What is management accounting? As the name suggests, as the name suggests, management in management accounting we will teach you all the accounting, all the information that is provided exclusively to management. Management accounting is done exclusively for management so that the management can take short-term decisions. The process of preparing management reports and accounts that provide accurate and timely financial and statistical information required by the manager to make day-to-day and short-term decisions. In cost accounting, we have only discussed on monetary part. Cost accounting is related only to monetary part, but management accounting deals with monetary as well as non-monetary part. Management accounting is deal with monetary as well as non-monetary part. Now, like financial accounting, in financial accounting, you prepare profit and loss account, balance sheet, cash flow statement, and all these reports are prepared so that every year we can show these reports to the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Stakeholders are the persons who have some stake in the company, who have some interest in the company, like creditors, debenture holders, shareholders, government, all these persons are related to company because they have some stake, some interest in the company. Like creditors, creditors has given you some amount or raw material on credit, so they have interest in your company, whether your company is doing good or not, so that they can keep an eye whether their money is safe or not. Debenture holders have given you loan, so they will be also interested in knowing the progress of the company, so that they can get to know whether they will get their money back or they will get their interest on time or not. Government is also interested in your company because the government will earn more profit if you're earning, if your company is earning more. So all these persons are known as stakeholder who have some stake, who have some interest in your company. Now in financial accounting, we prepare balance sheet, P&L account, cash flow statement. All these are reports. Like in college or school, you study for whole year, and in the end of the year there is some examination. In examination, whatever you write or how your exam has been went has been shown in your report card. So a company work for the whole year, and then at the end of the year, the company's report card is the financial accounts, that is balance sheet, P&L, cash flow statement. So these report cards, these reports are are important for the stakeholders because they have an interest in the company. They want to know the progress of the company because they are worried about their money. They want to know whether their money is safe or not. So this all is covered in financial accounting. So financial accounting is done for management as well as for external stakeholders. It is important, it is compulsory to publish financial accounts. It is important to produce annual reports for external stakeholders. But unlike financial account, management accounting is done exclusively for managers. Management accounting is done exclusively for departmental managers and chief executive officer. Management accounting is not compulsory. It's up to you. If you want to do management accounting, you can prepare management accounting. If you do not want to do, it is not compulsory. But financial accounting is compulsory because they are done for external stakeholder as well as for the management. But management accounting is not compulsory. It's up to you whether you want to do management accounting or not. But management accounting provide provide information on weekly basis, monthly basis, day by basis, so that management can take day-to-day decision as well as short-term decision. So, so management accounting is very important to keep an eye on the progress of the company as well as to motivate the employees. So management accounting means preparing management reports that provide timely and accurate financial as well as statistical information to managers so that managers can take short-term decisions. Now, what are the objectives of management accounting? What are the objectives of management accounting? To assist in planning. The management accounting assists management is planning as well as to formulate the policies by making forecast about the production, selling, inflow, etc. For example, if a company is manufacturing televisions and the management checks that the demand of television is increasing every month, that the demand of television is increasing every month. Now the management will take a decision. The management will hire more employees. The management will purchase more machinery so that it can increase the production. If the production of television is increased, more television will be sold in market and the company will be able to earn more money. So it helps management in making decision. It assists management in planning. The management will find that if there is more demand of television, so the management will automatically increase the production by increasing the labor as well as purchasing more machine. So it assists in planning. To assist in organizing, the management accounting also help management in preparing budgets, that whatever production we are doing, the production should be done in this budget only. So it will help the employees, it will help the management to keep an eye on the employee, whether the employee are working within the budget. Because if there is no budget, the employee will do more wastage. How can you control the cost? So the management accounting also help in assisting management to organize and to prepare budgets. To assist in motivating. Suppose if the management sees that some employee is not working efficiently, if the management checks that efficiency of employees are decreasing, the management will try to motivate the employee. The management will try to increase their efficiency so that they can work efficiently and increase the production. If the management sees that some employees are working very efficiently, very hard, so the management will give them some reward. The management will increase their salary so that those employees can remain motivated and those employees can work efficiently in the organization. To coordinate, suppose there are different department in a company. Suppose my company manufacturing car, so there are different department. One department is manufacturing body, one department is manufacturing tires, one department is manufacturing engine. So the management accounting will help the management in coordinating between these departments. That first of all, the engine department will prepare the engine. That engine will now went to the body department. The body department will assemble the engine in body. Now it will go to the tire department. The tire department will assemble the tire in the body. Now it will go to the final assembling department that will assemble all the parts together. So these coordinations can be done with the help of management accounting. To control. Suppose management has made some budgets, some standards that to produce a television, highest standard cost will be 10,000 rupees. Now the management will check whether the actual cost is under the standard or not. Suppose management has fixed that to manufacture a television, the standard cost will be 10,000. And in actual, the cost is coming 12,000. So now management will compare that 2,000 is coming more. So the management will find out the reasons. That what are the reasons that the cost has been increased? Cost is more than the standard. The management will find out the reason and management will try to control the cost now so that the cost can come under the budget. To communicate, it helps the management in communicating the financial information about the enterprises. The management will get to know whether the company is earning profit more or not. Every organization, every management want to earn more and more profit every year. So the management accounting will help the manager in knowing what is the financial position of the company, whether the company is earning more profit or not. It will help the management in taking the decision as well as evaluating business performance so that the management can take appropriate control actions. Got my point? So what is management accounting? Management accounting is preparing managerial reports that provide timely and accurate financial as well as statistical information to managers to make day-to-day as well as short-term decisions. So in management accounting, it consists of both monetary as well as non-monetary information. Unlike financial accounting, in financial accounting there is only monetary information, but in management accounting there is monetary as well as non-monetary information both. Objectives of management accounting: to assist in planning, it helps the management in planning. To assist in organizing, it helps the management in organizing and preparing the budget. To assist in motivating, it helps the management in measuring the performance of the employee so that it will try to increase the efficiency and motivate the organization. To coordinating, it helps the management in coordinating the different department of an organization. To control, it helps the organization in comparing actual work with the standard so that the management can take the appropriate control actions. To communicate, it helps the management in communicating the financial information about the enterprise for taking decision as well as evaluating business performance management need information. Got my point? What is management accounting? Okay. So in next class, we will continue the topic management accounting. Till now, whatever we have read, let's do some MCQs. I'm sharing the PPT with you. Let's do some MCQs now. Okay. For MCQs, but for MCQs, these illustrations will help you in getting a clarity on the topic. That's why at the end of every class we do MCQs so that we can get a clarity of the topic. And if we will do this MCQs now, then the whole topic will automatically get revised. So let's start with the MCQs now. Costs which are incurred on the basis of accounting period. Controllable sunk capital conversion. The answer is capital cost. Costs which are incurred on the basis of decision making. Controllable joint capital conversion. The answer is joint cost. Expenditure provides benefit to future period and is classified as an asset. What expenditure provide benefit in future and is classified as asset? Controllable, sunk, capital cost or conversion? The answer is capital cost, capital expenditure. Cost which can be influenced by its budget holder. Cost which can be influenced by the management. Controllable, joint, capital or conversion? The answer is controllable cost, which can be influenced by the management. Cost of selecting one course of action and losing of other opportunity to carry out that course of action. Cost of selecting one course of action and losing the opportunity of other course of action. Revenue, opportunity cost, sunk cost or normal cost? The answer is opportunity cost. Cost that has already been incurred and cannot be avoided by decision taken in future. Cost that has already been incurred and cannot be avoided by decision taken in future. Revenue cost, opportunity cost, sunk cost or normal cost? The answer is sunk cost. It is a cost which is not subject to control at any level of managerial supervision. A cost which is not subject to control, a cost which cannot be controlled. Uncontrollable cost, joint cost, capital cost, conversion cost. The answer is uncontrollable cost. Cost between different alternatives calculated to assist decision making. Cost between different alternative calculated to assist different decision making. Joint cost, controllable, differential cost, conversion cost. The answer is differential cost. The processing of a single raw material result in two or more different products simultaneously. Controllable cost, joint cost, capital cost or conversion cost? The answer is joint cost. So I hope everyone has understood what is classification of cost. We have done the topic classification of cost and started with the management accounting. I have given you an introduction what is management accounting. I hope you all have understood what is management accounting. Okay. Thank you all for joining. Thank you very much. Please everyone take care, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll meet in next class. Thank you all for joining. Bye-bye.